Hello, everybody. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock here in Colorado. So today I wanted to pop in and chat with you a little bit about how much money do you need to retire? And I know that this is a question that a lot of people have. It's like, how much money do I really need to retire? And let me just say, this answer can be complicated or it can be simple, depends on how you look at it. So you're going to notice that today I have a great big like scrolling banner across the bottom of my screen, and it's like disclaimer. Hear me out. This is just meant for you and I to talk and have a conversation. I'm not trying to give out financial advice, investing advice, none of the above. But I want to just kind of talk a little bit about sort of some like oversimplified ways of thinking about how much do you need to retire. So I'm going to talk about a lot of different concepts here. And since I'm just going live off the cuff, after I'm done with my live, I'll actually go back and I'll add in some links or, just some like comments that highlight some of the things I talked about. So one of the most important things I think that you need to be aware of when you're thinking about how much money do you need to retire, it's less about how much do you have saved up. It's more about how much do you spend. And let me dig into this a little bit. So I'm going to talk about a few different concepts here tonight. And so I'm not going to start with anything. I'm just going to start with how much you spend. So when you are looking at retirement, so, retirement can mean so many different things to so many different people, but let's just say that it means that you're no longer working or work optional. You no longer have to work, but maybe you still will because you want to, or you need to fill your time with something. Or maybe you retire nice and young and you've still got a lot of years ahead of you that you want to be like contributing or doing something. So again, retirement can mean so many different things, but in the conventional sense, if we are looking at you're no longer going to be working and you're just going to be living off of the chunk of funds that you've got put away. If you meet with a financial planner, financial advisor, when they try to talk to you about retirement, a lot of times they're getting at, asking questions of like, what do you want your retirement to look like? So do you want to travel? Do you think you'll have your house paid off? Will you, be renting somewhere? Or, are you okay to have a mortgage? Do you want to have like several properties? Like they ask a lot of questions. What's your lifestyle going to be? What are you going to do every day? It's really important to start thinking about these things now and like think about a staycation. This is a tangent. Think about a staycation for a minute. Like, let's say that you took a week off of work right now, and let's just go through pretend retirement. Okay. What would you do with yourself? What are the activities that are going to like fill up your entire day? What kind of things feed you? Maybe you like to just like sit around, read a book, take a bath, go on a walk. Maybe you're the type that likes to go golfing or, some other sport. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things that you should be thinking about. Like, what is your day-to-day life going to look like? But then, of course, I think most of us in retirement have plans to do some things that we don't otherwise have time to do. So I'm saying all this because when you meet with a financial planner, a lot of times they're going to ask you all these questions about what do you envision your life to look like? And I want you to understand why. The reason why is so that they can help you figure out how much you're going to be spending in order to do all these things. Because whatever the amount is that you plan on spending, you've got to kind of back into what number is going to feed all of that spending that I'm going to do. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to throw in is the 4% rule. And I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing tonight. I'm going to talk about a few things. So if you've never heard about this before, let me actually just like share my screen really quick here. And let me find, I think I already had this open. So yep, I sure did. Okay, so here we go. I want you to, not right now, later, but if you've never heard of this before, I want you to go online and just Google like 4% rule. And you can see that the very top little description here talks about like, it's a theory that a particular financial advisor came up with in the 90s, which basically says that retirees can withdraw 4% of their total nest egg, right? Without ever like losing a bunch of the, the nut. You're not going to lose a bunch of the principal. There's all kinds of different words that we could say for that. But anyway, so it kind of talks a little bit about that. I'm going to scroll down. I want to just say that there's some really reputable websites that have great break it down for you explanations. I actually really like Investopedia for like any kind of retirement or investing advice. I think they break it down super simple. So anyway, it talks about it. But here's what I want to say. I'm going to stop sharing that. So here's what I want to say about the 4% rule. So there was a ton of research that was done, and it takes into account, it's assuming that your investments are going to be growing at a number, like your rate of return, right? Your growth will be more than 4% per year, at a minimum like 5. If a lot of times when people look at like the stock market, like over time, they'll say it averages 8%. Those numbers, of course, fluctuate every time you have any kind of a crash, those kind of things. But so if you, believe me, you can invest in all kinds of different things. You can invest in real estate or in crypto or index funds or just Apple or just Tesla. You can invest in so many different things. So, no one's got that perfect crystal ball to say how much you're going to get in returns, but you can at least look at historical research and know, what types of things are going to be more variable, what types of things are going to be more risky. That's another thing your financial advisor will talk to you about, is like how do you feel when it comes to risk, right? So if I sat with an advisor and they said, if you could, always just get a 5% return on your investments and it never goes higher and never goes lower, how do you feel about that? And I might say, I feel okay about that. And if they said, what if over 10 years you gain 30%, but you maybe lose 40% some years, you know what I mean? And so I can say like, oh my God, if I lost 40%, I'd be sick to my stomach. So then they start to say, okay, here's how we're going to like invest your money based on your risk analysis, right? So it's complicated. There's so many things that go into that. But let me just sort of like come back to the 4% rule again. And then how does that relate to how much money you spend? Okay, so let's do this here. I'm just going to grab a calculator and we'll look at this. Okay, so if I have $1 million, let's see here. Do I have my computer on here for me? Let me see. If I have, why can't I type? Here we go. If I have $1 million and it grows at, let's just say 5% times 0.05 equals $50,000. So in 1 year, if my $1 million grows 5%, then I will have $1,050,000. And if I spend, this is where that 4% rule comes in. If I spend 4%, then I'm only taking out $40,000, right? Because 5% is 50, 4% is only 40,000. So that means that if I can live on $40,000 a year, I've still gained $10,000 that I haven't touched. So my $1 million that I've got sitting over there in my retirement, if I lived for 1 year on $40,000, I didn't lose anything. I'm still over $1 million. So now I've got $1,010,000. So that's what the 4% rule is saying. And the research is that they looked at, over like a 30-year span of time, you should be able to safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio without ever like running out of money. And that, they took into account like all the different like fluctuations over the course of like the markets. So it's like, all of this could be complicated, but I'm trying to just simplify it for you. So here's another way you can look at it. So if you have $1 million and let's say that your portfolio earned 8%, right? Then how much do you have? You have $80,000. So now you've got $1,080,000. That's how much your nest egg grew in the course of 1 year. Now, if you only live on 4%, you've still got an extra $40,000 in growth. So you're not pulling away from that million. So you're not touching that initial million, right? So, but what does that mean for you? It means that like, hey, this year, if you had a lot of returns, maybe this year you spend $60,000. Maybe this is the year that you like buy something you've been wanting to buy, a new car or go on a big trip, big vacation, and you've still got extra money sitting there, right? So that's my way of trying to break down the 4% rule to make it seem a little bit easier. But here is the most important thing: to learn how to do this in reverse. You're saying, okay, well, that's $1 million. What does that mean to me? Do I need $1 million? Do I need $4 million? Again, it's dependent on what you think your lifestyle is going to be. But if right now I know that in a given year, I spend $36,000. That's how much I spend on like my housing, my food, gas for the car, utilities, going out to eat, having a little bit of fun. Let's say it's $36,000. So now if I take 36,000 times, this is the big one right here, times 25, $900,000. That's the number that I would want to hit if I want to retire and only spend $36,000 a year in retirement. Okay. So the 36,000 is 4% of 900,000. So 25 is like whatever you spend today or whatever you think you're going to spend in retirement, like take that annual spending number times 25. So if we look at this here, let's see. Some people are maybe spending $80,000 a year on like their house payments, their car payments, their vacations, their everything, right? So if you are spending, let's say $80,000 every year, we're going to take that times 25. They would need $2 million to retire. So maybe this can also be a little bit of a formula to help you understand if you go to sit with a financial advisor and they're telling you that you need like $4 million to retire. It's because they're looking at like how expensive is your lifestyle going to be in retirement? So I don't know. Hopefully that feels like kind of helpful. I know that a lot of people want to know like, how much do I need to retire? So hopefully these are some tools. This is not the whole picture. Okay. This is not the end all be all to this story. There is so much more that's involved with this, right? Like, how long are you going to keep working? How much do you have saved right now? How much do you think you'll spend? Do you plan on having paid for a house? There's so many different things, right? We can't count on Social Security or like Medicare being there for us in the future. It's a little bit of an unknown, I think, anyway. But so anyway, there are a ton of other like things that you need to look at. And of course, like if you are investing in things that I would call a little bit more risky, then you might have a greater chance of losing more of your money just through like market fluctuations, right? That can be anything from like buying real estate when it's at its high, and then if it, crashes low and then you sell your properties or something like that, then, those investments are going to make a difference in like how much you might have to work with looking into retirement too. And how long do you think you'll live? All these questions. It's a huge, huge, huge kind of complicated, equation to look at. But I just want to call it out and say, like, on a very super basic level, this is why it's really important to know how much money you spend. Okay. So whatever amount of money you spend today on all of your expenses, right? So look at, every month, look at what your housing is, your food, your, going out, how much do you spend on gifts? How much do you spend on travel, on concerts, on, all the things, and add those up so that you can get an annual figure. And then think about, wherever you are in life right now. I mean, some people are, they're like, I'm 58, I'm coming real close to retirement age. I don't know if I can do it. Well, let's start by looking at how you're spending now. And do you think that's going to change in the near future? Do you think your expenses are going to be less? All things to consider. But anyway, look at that annual spending number. Maybe try to come up with how much do you think it's going to cost you to live a year in retirement. Take that annual spending number times 25. And that's a real good starting point for you to at least kind of like be thinking about, right? Something to have in your mind. So anyway, That was a lot. Hopefully that wasn't too like overly complicated, but I just wanted to kind of touch on some of these things. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to leave you guys for tonight. If you have questions, type them into the comments. I'm always happy to pop back in and talk about, more on the subject. I don't do a whole lot of like investing talking though, because I'm not licensed to sell securities or to sell insurance, or so that means no giving investment advice either. So I just want to give you some big, broad informational things. And like I said, Investopedia, also really great website to go look at so that you can learn more. And if you're really curious what you think, you're going to need, go talk to a financial advisor. If you don't have one yet, you can find one, have a free consultation. They'll talk to you about it too. All right. So I've got a comment here, Brenda, looking at $1,025,000. So yeah, great. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of, a framework, right? For like what you're reaching for. Where are you now? You don't have to answer where are you now, where are you now? Like how much more do you need to get there? So I think it helps to just kind of give you a little bit of a frame of reference. So yeah, anyway. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for hanging in there with me tonight. I will be back again tomorrow. So again, type anything into the comments, or if you have questions, I'm happy to follow up too. But until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.